Now, these days, so many internet wrestling news websites are out there publishing a lot of times inaccurate predictions about perhaps what's going to happen regards angles, and even at times slandering wrestlers and perhaps, you know, damaging their private lives in some ways by telling false lies, really. Do you think it's sort of a sense that, you know, it's a good thing for the business or a bad thing to have these websites out there, or is there any good in them at all, really?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like reading Billboard magazine or Entertainment Weekly. I mean, if you read the good ones, they'll report the news, and then as it kind of filters down, you get a lot of cheap ones, and those ones are kind of just make stuff up as they go. So, I mean, if you're going to go online as a fan or as a performer, as a professional, you have to take it with a grain of salt, you know? People will always say, well, I read on the internet that, you know, you actually are, you know, an Oompa Loompa. And it's like, well, if you read it there, it must be true, like, or whatever it may be. So it's like, a lot of things have maybe a grain of truth to it, and some of it just has no truth to it at all. Like, I read sometimes things where it's like, oh, I didn't even know that about myself. I guess I'm going to be on Raw tonight in 5 minutes. Well, I'm in Tampa and Raw's in Edmonton, so I guess I better get going. So, I mean, people just really... that's kind of the world we live in. People just have opinions, and they all like to express them online and give their what's the one I was reading? Colleagues of Jericho have said that he's coming back, and it's like, colleagues? Like, I don't even know I had a colleague. What's a colleague? I got some friends, but I don't really have any colleagues. It's like, I sound like a university professor or something.
It seems in every sense you are missed from the ring, though. A lot of people mentioning you recently, you know, between Twitter accounts and between people stealing moves. We won't mention any names, but
all of them.
Do you care to comment on it? But more or less, do you find it as a tribute, a show of respect, or would you somewhat take it as offensive?
It's never offensive. I mean, everybody. I mean, I had influences too that I, you know, would emulate and want to be like, but sometimes guys, they cross the line into just blatant ripping off.
Sure.
And that, to me, it's like, I don't really care, but for them, I think it's just lame, because, you know, if you want to make it in wrestling or in anything, you got to do something that's different, that's never been done before. So it doesn't help them to come off as second-rate Jericho copies, just like if I came off as a second-rate Nick Bockwinkel copy or a second-rate Shawn Michaels. I mean, there might be elements of those guys that I kind of put into my own little blender and make what Jericho is. But if you're completely stealing, you know, you'll never make it past a certain level. So I think it's just a detriment to their own personal advancement and professional advancement. But, you know, do what you want. I don't care.